So in addition to considering why we do things, or our motivation behind things, right, so our quality of motivation, STT also considers what we're trying to do. So in addition to the why of things, it's looking at the what, or what is the contents of our goals? What types of goals are we setting? And how does this impact both our ability to achieve those goals and our health and well-being following that? So that's what I'm going to address briefly here. This really, again, could be a whole lecture in positive psychology. This is something we spend a lot more time on because we really are focused on our goals and values as an area of study. But here I'm really going to keep this tight and focus on how it relates to health. So where we had left off, right, we talked about the quality of motivation and how that impacts all these different health behaviors and our adherence to those, and that if we want to improve our quality of motivation, we need basic psychological need fulfillment. And so obviously to have our needs fulfilled, they need to be supported. And so we talked about ways that clinicians can support those needs for their patients. And then we also mentioned that, of course, others in our lives can also support those needs. And that could as well be a whole lecture or honestly a whole course. And so now where we're at is, it turns out it also matters what our goals and aspirations are. And so I'm going to talk about what it means to have intrinsic versus extrinsic goals and aspirations. And so in the same way that we have different types and quality of motivation, we have different types and quality of goals. And these feedback and interact with our with basic psychological needs support and feed into our experiences of need fulfillment in ways that then impact our motivational quality and then therefore our health behaviors and our ability to stick to those. So what do I mean when I say intrinsic goals and extrinsic goals? Well, it turns out that the types of goals that we set are closely related to motivation. Right? There are types of goals that really align well with intrinsic and identified and integrated motivation, and types of goals that really align with external and introjected regulation. And so intrinsic goals are those that contribute directly to fulfilling basic psychological needs. By attaining that goal, needs are fulfilled. And so examples of these types of goals are affiliation or connecting with others, right? If your goal is to connect with others, you're going to fulfill your relatedness need if you achieve that. If your goal is to accept yourself more, you're also going to achieve more relatedness and autonomy needs if you achieve that, right? You're going to feel more in touch with yourself and more aligned with your goals, and probably better able to connect with others as well. Physical health is another one. If you really pursue that usually fulfills competence needs. You feel stronger and better about yourself, and so that can fulfill those kind of needs. And so again, if you attain intrinsic goals, they directly relate to need fulfillment, and then therefore to well-being as well. And so again, the goal of contributing to a community would enhance relatedness. And then there's extrinsic goals, and so some examples of these would be like attaining wealth or fame or beauty. And in these cases, attaining those goals is at best indirectly related to basic need satisfaction. Maybe if you get famous enough, maybe that leads you to feel competent, maybe, and so that could fulfill that need, but it's indirect. And at worst, and very often, they interfere with the basic need satisfaction. For example, pursuing wealth often leads people to have to make sacrifices to their relationships, to focus a lot on work, or to treat people in ways that allow them to attain this large amount of wealth. And this undermines their basic need satisfaction. Often people in the pursuit of wealth, it really limits their autonomy, because they're really driven by this external factor of money. That's what's driving their behavior. And so, while in some cases you may be able to do more if you have more money, right, and have more autonomy, the pursuit and the goal of achieving wealth interferes with your need satisfaction. The same goes for fame and for beauty, right? These are things that are about how other people see you, right? So they're going to be at best introjected, right? You're trying to gain approval and fame from others, right? It has to do with how other people see you, and so these are likely going to interfere with basic psychological need satisfaction. And so why this is important for health is a number of things. First, just the general types of goals we set can relate to health outcomes, and I'll show a study that gives us a little evidence for that. but then also we can frame the same health goal in different ways, right? In the same way that we might have different motivations for a health goal, we could think about the goal of weight loss as being really focused on physical health or really being focused on beauty. And so the way that we frame that goal, and whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic, is going to have important implications. So this is a study called the Life Aspirations Study, and so this was 100 community residents. So again, this is not college students. This is people living in a city, regular adults. And in this, they just assessed. They asked them about their intrinsic and extrinsic goals and how important each of those was to them. And then they assessed their well-being and their physical health symptoms. For example, how many headaches they had and how many days they felt sick. So this is just a correlational study. These results have also been shown in many other studies, but I just wanted to keep it simple for us today. And so they examined the relation between the importance of intrinsic versus extrinsic goals and physical and mental health. So what we see here is that the relative and having intrinsic goals being more important to you, this was associated with more self-actualization, so higher flourishing, more vitality, feeling like you have more energy more energy available to do the things that you want to do, fewer depressive symptoms, and also fewer physical symptoms. And extrinsic aspiration importance or goal importance had the opposite pattern of effects, where it was related to less self-actualization, less vitality, more depressive symptoms, and more physical symptoms. And so again, this is just showing that people who said they really valued fame, beauty, money, things like that, this was associated with bad stuff, and saying that you really valued community and connecting with others, learning and growing, or health, these were associated with all these positive effects. And particularly since this is health psych, we care about these physical symptoms, and so people said they even felt better physically. So our goals and aspirations are related to our mental and physical health. I just like this image that shows this rhino, right? If your goal is to look a certain way, that may or may not be at all possible. And so this poor rhino is trying to look like this unicorn, and if he's exercising for that reason, that's never going to happen, and that's going to be really demoralizing, right? If you're trying to be a swimsuit model, that could be a really demoralizing goal to try to pursue. But if your goal is to be able to run longer on that treadmill, be a little stronger, be a little healthier, feel better maybe, because we're going to learn that exercise releases all kinds of awesome chemicals that make us feel good. Those are things that are going to be easier to stick to, and they're also going to be easier to achieve. And the outcome of exercise is going to have that on behavior of exercise is going to have important positive effects either way. But having a goal that really is intrinsically motivated in terms of the quality of motivation, but also is an intrinsic goal itself, is going to be really important. And it turns out that it's really difficult to be intrinsically motivated for an extrinsic goal, right? To really truly value beauty or to value wealth, people aren't able to do that very well. Usually if you dig down deep enough, you find out that it's introjected, or it's out of an insecurity that they feel that they need to have and pursue high amounts of fame or wealth. So in summary, of all the SDT things we've talked about here, so people who are more autonomously or more intrinsically motivated, more to the right of that continuum, they have better health outcomes. People who have more intrinsic versus extrinsic life goals, they have better health outcomes. And people who have more autonomy, supportive providers, and close others, also competent support as well is important, but we really focused on autonomy support here specifically, that all of those things are related to better adherence to health behaviors and better health outcomes. So that's really the bulk of what we talked about today. So this indicates, right, that the type and quality of motivations and aspirations really matters, that our interactions with our healthcare providers are critical, and that this is especially true where these controllable behaviors are involved, and that's the case for many health behaviors and many things in health psychology. And so this is why we're so interested in motivation. So I'm going to end this section here. Oh, nope, I lied. We have one more. Oh, no. Yeah, so I'm going to pretty much end this section here, but I'm going to pick up with the next one, and I just want you to take a second before you watch that one to think about what are some of your health-related aspirations and goals, because for the health behavior assignment, again, you have some choices around that, but if you're choosing to engage in the regular health behavior assignment and change of behavior and track your goals, you're going to want to pick one of these. And so think about what that goal is and whether that's intrinsic or extrinsic, and maybe a little bit about why you're motivated to pursue that behavior change. This will also be something you'll write about in the health behavior assignment, but this would be a good time to maybe reflect a little bit on that. And I'm going to end with the last section on just a little bit of the information about how to set a good goal. You also read about this in one of your articles for today, but I'm going to give a little more information on how to create a goal that has a good implementation intentions behind it and one that you're more likely to be able to achieve.